This is George R. McCaslin, National Moderator for the Dad's House Educational Center and Groups. I'm coming to you from my home at the Indian Meadows Nursing Center in Overland Park, Kansas. It is mid-July and thus summertime here in the USA. Except for those in summer school, most children have been out of school for at least a month and likely starting to complain to parents that there is nothing to do. For many children of divorced and single parents, they are spending or should have been spending this time with a non-residential parent for what is often called their extended summer visitation or parenting time. Unfortunately, this is not the case for millions of these children. Despite court orders, many primary residential parents decide that the children are better off with him or her than the other parent, though statistically, it is more often the mother who would be doing this. This is an ongoing problem for the parent who is not in residence and not just involving the summer vacation period. They often find their designated weekends and school holidays also disrupted. This has been an ongoing problem for decades, made worse with changes in our society back in the 1980s, when the idea was promoted that a father in the home was not an important factor in the development of children. This was made worse as we entered the 1990s, and First Lady Hillary Clinton postulated the idea that children are raised by a village, further degrading the idea for the need of an intact family and involved parents. Today I will be addressing the problems of denial of court-ordered access rights for children and how to enforce them. First, I'd like to begin with a little-known related fact from child support enforcement. In opposition to an amendment of the revised Child Support Enforcement Act, members of Congress passed a funding bill to have the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services conduct a 50-state study to show that fathers wish to have no continued relationship with their children following a divorce. In the 1980s, we had also been seeing the rise in the push to federalize enforcement of child support, but without equal enforcement of access rights. As divorce rates began to rise in the 80s, fathers frequently found themselves on the outside of their children's lives, with women filing the vast majority of divorces along with custody of any children. Fathers were finding that they could no longer depend on coming home from work to the open arms of waiting children. He most often found himself needing to wait 2 weeks at a time before seeing them, and for only a designated period of time. However, that was often not the case, giving rise to complaints of being denied access to their children. Similar complaints are still being made today, with one exception. Half of today's children are being born outside of wedlock, so not even a divorce is required to push a father out of his children's lives, as unmarried mothers have a presumption of sole custody and control in 100% of the cases. Only Germany now has a law addressing any presumption of rights for the unmarried father. However, that law was passed in August of 2010 and only under pressure from their version of the U.S. Supreme Court. In America, there is no such presumption, with states like Arkansas making it the rule of law, even while paying child support. For unmarried fathers, they have nothing to enforce until their parental rights are first established by a court, an issue that will be covered in another Dad House video at a later date. For now, I will be addressing the problems of those parents with court-ordered access rights to their children and how to address any denial of access.